are counting down to Daytona. JB Buno back again with the man himself, everybody. Dan Lucas. Dan, we're talking about NASCAR's big changes for 2019. And hey, listen, every year NASCAR makes some changes, but this year we're talking specifically about the rule changes that fans can expect, and there are some notable ones here to talk about.
Yeah, there's one big one, and this kind of hit the teams, kind of whammied them in October when this was announced, and it's so much so that they're giving everyone a pass for the Daytona 500 only. They're going to be able to run how they ran in 2018, but then after that, you got to do this new engine setup. Now, little disclaimer here, JB. When it comes to engines, I'm like most of us. I wait till the engine light comes on, and then we get the diagnostics, and I tell you to fix it. So, but a lot of folks who follow this sport are going to understand what they're talking about here, and it has to do with the air that goes into the engine and the horsepower that it produces. They want to bring down the horsepower a little bit on these super speedways. And before we talk a little bit about the details of it, I was sat down with Austin Dillon, the defending champion of the Daytona 500. It's going to change the racing a little bit, especially at a track like Daytona and also Talladega. Here was his reaction to the new setup this year.
Yeah, Daytona is almost like a season in itself, where you have to get through that one and put yourself in a good position to carry momentum through the year. But with the new rules package, I'm really pumped to see what it brings to our sport. I think you'll see a lot of side-by-side racing, a lot of good moves coming down to it. It'll be aggressive and intense, and people are going to be mad at each other quite a bit because of the drama that's going to create. So I'm excited to see this package work, and a full year on it. We'll see what we get out of it.
Getting mad over the rules. I love it with Austin Dillon. He's saying
a lot of bumping going on. I think
even something as boring as a rule change might spark a fight at the Daytona 500 or another race this year on the circuit. So Austin Dillon, one of the racers, of course, every racer is going to be paying very close attention to these rule changes and how it affects the competitive balance of NASCAR this year.
What they're doing is they're taking these for the speedway, the super speedways, the restrictor plates that limits for your engine, your basic engine functions of how much air it can gulp and process the horsepower. That's where it starts. So what happened in the 80s? The cars were getting too fast. They were racing at 200 miles an hour. Became a safety thing. So they put restrictor plates on these engines that limited the amount of air that could come in. That slowed everybody down a little bit. Now they're taking the restrictor plates off, and they're putting on what they call tapered spacers. It's kind of like a restrictor plate in a way, but it's going to allow a little bit of air come into this thing differently. It's going to reduce the horsepower. I'm just going to give you the numbers here. Right now they're running about 750 horses on those things on the big tracks. They want to lower it to 550. And so what Austin was talking about is that's going to bring everybody closer together in packs and is going to create a situation probably where we see a lot of bumping and some guys getting up into each other in the turns. And that's what he means by everybody. We're going to have some drivers who are mad because if you're running well and your tires, which is the other issue to drivers, when your tires wear down, your car doesn't handle as well. That's part of the Daytona 500. Best tires are up there at the end. You could make a mistake, take somebody out just based on the lower horsepower. You just can't get away from them. That's what he's talking about.
When we have that view at Daytona or really any track, when you see the cars coming towards you and you just see how close they are, you're telling me that we're going to get even cozier this year with all the racers who are coming around the stretch.
What they're trying to do is take every discipline and every track. And NASCAR in a season, as the fans know, it's not all 2-mile ovals and 190 miles an hour. They're short tracks. Most of the tracks are about a mile long. The bulk of the 36 races, I believe it's 17 of those races, are run on 1-mile tracks or just over it. On the short tracks, there's no restrictions whatsoever because you can't get that fast. Right. And everybody's together, and it forces the driver to know what he's doing. That's what they want to do on these bigger tracks. They want the driver to know what he's doing and to literally, I'll say, race his way to the front. And they think that's going to create a more competitive balance for everybody.
So if you want to know, if you want to be the smartest guy in the room when you and your friends are talking NASCAR, you mentioned tapered spacers, everybody.
Those tapered spacers, buddy.
Going to change the season. Going to change the season.
I mean, there's an economic side to it as well.
Sure,
and NASCAR is going to say, no, it's about the competition. But they don't shy away from the fact that they are looking for more manufacturers to get involved in NASCAR. And I'm talking about engine building.
Right.
Certain companies, they just stay away, because the cost to invent this thing, to build it, to maintain it, and keep these teams going is too much for some companies. I think what they think it's going to lower the costs overall, and it's going to keep more people in the sport, and maybe keep the teams a little closer as well. I think that's going to be one thing we see from this.
What else can we expect for 2019 then?
Well, they're tweaking the car. They always tweak the cars a little bit. The back spoiler, I think it gets a little bit taller this year, and that's because they're looking for what's called downforce, and the force of the car at that speed brings it down closer to the ground, and the object there is to control the handling of the car. And since Daytona is what we're talking about, Daytona is notorious for, if you have handling issues, you are not in a good spot. And you get into those turns, and if you got a little wobbling going on, it wears down your tires. That's bad. But you don't get into the turn properly. All of a sudden, you come over just 2 feet out of your own way. You could take out 6 cars. That's what happens at Daytona. So the downforce, if that's going, everybody can run tighter together, get some drafting, and they can still run fast. Just because they're reducing the horsepower doesn't mean they're going to go slow. They're going to get it going. When that train gets going, it is fast at Daytona. I don't think that's going away, the speed.
Down to a millimeter, everybody. I mean, the rule changes, well, just rules in general at NASCAR coming down to really, I mean, just the finest amount of space.
It is.
And it's absolutely wild to see. So, Dan, previewing just what we can expect with Daytona 500 and the big race. It's getting closer and closer here. The rule changes, of course, are going to be on the forefront of every driver's mind, of all the crew chiefs as well. And how do you think it overall will, just real quick as we end out here, how's it going to impact the season going forward?
It's put the teams in a spot, in my own opinion, because they're getting ready for this new rules package with the engines. And since they brought it on so late, you're already manufacturing engines months in advance. They said, you know what, this is too quick for teams to get ready for Daytona.
Right.
So you know what we're going to do? Daytona, you're getting a pass. So you're going to run on the 2018 rules, and then starting the week after that, bring in the new rules. So everybody's in the same boat in that aspect, but you're preparing for two different things, and we're going to find out just who really puts all this work into Daytona, or who else is maybe leaning towards the bulk of the season. You know what? We're not going to give up on the Daytona 500, but they're working more on what this engine's going to do to them in the bulk of the races. I'm sure every team's doing that, but anybody who ran well at Daytona last year, they're right back in it again with the restrictor plates. But after that, bye-bye restrictor plates. That's 1987, JB. My math is terrible. That's 21, 22 years with restrictor plates. This is a different day for
change.
NASCAR, yeah.
Yeah, small, but a big change.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. So everybody, listen, we are going to be live streaming from Media Day. One of the most exciting days for us in our profession is to interview all the drivers.
Everybody's there.
Everyone is there. It is a chaotic party. It's like inviting all of your best friends, every friend you've ever had, over to your house, and there's not much room, and we're going to try to wiggle through there, but we're going to be talking to everybody. Join us on February 13th, that afternoon. We will be live streaming on your website, hearing from some of the biggest names in NASCAR, getting their thoughts, what it's like to be there at Media Day, and their thoughts on Daytona 500 and the season ahead as we count down to Daytona. Everybody, I'm JB Buno with Dan Lucas. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you on Media Day on February 13th. Take care, everybody.